It is my pleasure to welcome our 2019 keynote speaker, Christy Landwehr from the Certified Horsemanship Association. Christy has been active in the horse industry for over 30 years. Hunter, jumper, dressage, native costume, side saddle, western pleasure, hunter pleasure, barrel racing, endurance riding, and saddle seat equitation are just some of the disciplines that Christy has competed in at the local, regional, and national levels. She's been teaching children and adults how to ride for over a quarter of a century. She's a master level riding instructor and equine facility manager through the Certified Horsemanship Association and has taught students in 4-H and Pony Club. She is a past president of the American Youth Horse Council and an AQHA professional horseman. She also founded, competed on, and coached the University of Colorado at Boulder Intercollegiate Horse Show Association equestrian team. She is a member of the Aurora Horsemen's Association and has been show manager for the club and is the current secretary for the Colorado Horse Council. Christy's also very active in the Denver Harmony Equine Center project. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christy Landwehr.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to really mess up the AV guys because I don't do podiums really well. I walk around a lot when I talk. So I wanted to start by also saying a few things that wasn't in my bio that are really meaningful to me, is that back in the day when I was 13 years old, I started cleaning stalls at Elizabeth Broadbent's place in Southern California. She had Arabians and half Arabians. Before I knew it, I was riding with Wendy Griffith, who is now Wendy Griffith Potts, and I was her very first ex-student back in the day with Megan Schaefer and I, and all of a sudden I was showing native costume, side saddle, saddle seat, barrel race, I mean, you name it, right? I was doing all the stuff that wonderful Arabians do. We didn't have show hack quite back then, but we had everything else. And then before I knew it, I got my medal and I got to go and compete in nationals in Albuquerque. Before we even had youth nationals, it was all at one time. And I went top 11th in the nation. Okay, there's something about going top 11th in the nation. I think I would have rather gone 32nd, okay? But it was really, really fun to be able to go and experience that and be a part of that. And then I went and worked under Karen Carvonen and Susan Bavaria. Went and worked for them as an intern, actually, when I went to CU Boulder to get my master's degree in Colorado at IAHA. And got to do that, and then I got to actually be the youth sponsorship person, and I was in charge of all your sponsors back in the day. And Hat Lady, you're still here. That is awesome, because we're talking the late 90s is when I did that. So it is my pleasure to be here. Nancy Harvey and I, we did a lot of youth stuff back in the day. Yes, and she said to me way back then, she goes, one day maybe I'll be president, and here she is, top dog. Harv dog is top dog. So that's pretty awesome. All right, well, it is my pleasure to be here today. This talk can range anything from 10 minutes to a half day. So guess what? It's going to be quick, because I know a lot of you have to get on airplanes and go and do stuff. So I promise I will be expedient. I do a lot of marketing for the horse industry and all my different roles that I have, and I try to keep current with stuff. How many of you need to market? If you don't all raise your hands, you're liars. Okay, we all need to market, right? We all need to market in order to be relevant. We all need to market in order to stay solvent. We all need to market to what within our space, which is why it's so hard. Our space, you can teach a 2-year-old to ride a horse, and you can teach a 102-year-old to ride a horse, because we have this incredible thing called the partner with the horse, right? So because of that, guess what all of us have to do as marketers? We have to market to the greatest generation. We have to market to the boomers. We have to market to the Xers, which is what I am. We have to market to the Yers. We have to market to the millennials, and we have to market to the Zers, which are my children. Wow. Okay. So normally, who do we teach best? We teach best who we are. So most of you, if you're boomers, you talk really good to boomers. You might not even understand the millennials, yeah? Okay, so what do the millennials do? They go, oh my gosh, right? The boomers are getting a little up there. I don't really know how to talk to them. But the reality is we all need to talk to one another. So we're just going to go through this really fast. Get your cell phones out, because I told Nancy you're going to take photos of things that I don't go through because of interest of time. Okay, so if anyone's interested in taking the photos, you're more than welcome. So I know that Brian came, didn't he, to talk to you the other day from the American Horse Council? But I still want to do these slides because I think they're really important. If you don't know your own industry, whether it's the Arabian or the industry as a whole, then how do you know what to market to, right? You don't. So this is our space. This is who we are. And look, I have it right in front of me here. Oh, that's so fancy. Okay, so we have all of this within our equine industry economic impact that we just recently did through the American Horse Council. And this is pretty awesome. We are a really big industry. And we actually matter a lot. We matter a lot to this hotel, don't we? We matter a lot to the Tulsa Convention Center right now, don't we? We matter a lot when you guys go to all your different horse shows, to all of the different places there. We matter a lot. So we're not just within our own space. We're bigger than that, right? All the different people that we actually have to come across. Not surprisingly, these are our 3 biggest states, okay? Texas, Florida, and California in regards to having horses, which makes sense. Obviously, Kentucky's up there, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, North Carolina, and Missouri. I was very sad that my Colorado didn't make the list this time. But things are changing, right? Things are changing and morphing. Are we a little bit further away from our agricultural roots? Yes. Do we have a few less people in our industry? Maybe. But does that still mean that we're not relevant? Oh, absolutely not. We're very relevant. And are we growing again? And are we doing things again? Absolutely we are. And I think if anything, as a riding instructor myself, I hung a shingle when I was 16 and just taught teaching riding lessons. Now I run Certified Horsemanship Association and tell you shouldn't do that. If you teach beginners, you should go get certified. But back in the day, right, hung a shingle, that's what we did. And now we cite a credit and we certify and we do all of those kinds of things. But my clients have changed a lot. Back when I hung that shingle when I was 16 years old, I had primarily kids. Now I teach primarily adult women and men who are in between the ages of 40 and 60, whose kids have grown up and now they have the income and the time to come ride. So it's changed a little bit. Now that doesn't mean that there's still not a lot of youth in our space. Sure there is. So this is the number that I really like for that. Look at that. 30.5% contain horse enthusiasts of all U.S. households. 30.5% say, yep, I think horses are cool. Yep, I still want to touch them. Yep, I still want to go to the racetrack and see them. Yep, yep, yep. But if you say to the average general public, what do you know about the horse industry? What do they say? Either I don't know or racetrack, maybe. Maybe they've gone to a rodeo, maybe. Or they know absolutely nothing at all, or maybe they've ridden on one trail ride one time. And then now they're an experienced advanced rider. We always like that answer. Yes. So that is very true. So what do we then have to say to them? Okay, what is a horse most like to the person who does not know anything about a horse? What is a horse most like? What animal? A dog. Correct. What is it furthest from? A dog. Predator prey, right? Very different. Eyes on the side of the head, eyes on the front of the head, negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, very different from a dog, but that's what most people know. So what is it our job to do? It's our job to educate the masses about horses. The masses. So, a couple things with that. Should we go around saying AAHA, NRHA, NCHA? Should we do all that? Kind of exclusive, right? Should we go around and talk about the Kimberwick and the Ergot and the Martingale and the... Maybe not, right? Maybe we have to be able to simplify our language, simplify the acronyms we use, and this is because they give me a mic, I love saying this, don't call ourselves horse people. I'm a horse person. All right, well, I'm not, I guess I shouldn't talk to you. And I don't know, maybe the rock climbers call themselves rock climbing people, I'm not really sure. Maybe the mountain bike people call themselves mountain bike people, perhaps. But the more inclusive we can be, right, than exclusive, I think that's gonna really help us. So here we are, the current takeaways is land preservation is pegged at 80 million acres, roughly the size of New Mexico, and that's throughout the entire country of all the land that we have left to actually house our horses. Is that good or is that bad? That's pretty bad. You might say, oh, New Mexico, that's pretty big, 80 million acres, but the reality is our land shrinking? Yes. So those of you that have land, put it in trusts, right? There's the Equestrian Land Conservation Resource Center. You can go to them, you can put it in a trust, and you can make sure that it's never developed on, so that we always have room for our horses in the future. We can go trail riding and do everything else we want to do with them. So we're going to jump into really quickly. This is where you start taking photos. How many of you are self-employed? Have some self-employed people? Absolutely. So you know the big business sin is to write a check to have your clients write a check to you, right? You want to, because what is one of the most audited entities in our space? Horses. Okay, the IRS loves to audit us as a company because they think that it's just a hobby. Okay, so make sure that you're an S Corp or a C Corp, a sole proprietor, an LLC, which is limited liability corp, a nonprofit, whatever the case may be, and have the checks written to them. I like to surround myself with people better than me because, boy, I have a lot of holes in my knowledge, and I really don't want to learn all this stuff. I'd rather not learn all the stuff. So I love to surround myself with good people. So one of the people I think everyone in this room should have is your CPA. Who has a good CPA? Oh, yeah. Because your CPA will do things like, you know what, Christy, those riding breeches that you wear into Walmart because you look like a dork really can be a write-off. Because you really shouldn't be wearing them into the Walmart all the time, even though you do it and you're a dork, right? But you really can't write off your jeans because jeans really is something you would wear into the Walmart. So she's always keeping me current with what I can write off and what I can't. Okay, how about an equine attorney? How many of you all have one of those? Yeah, and not just an attorney. No, an equine attorney that understands your space and what you do, whether you have a breeding barn, whatever you have. Financial planner. Okay, this is really adulting and boring, but now you've got to do like 401k and all those kinds of things. I was asked the other day to do a talk at a capstone class at Colorado State University, and they said, so, Ms. Christy, if you had anything to do different, what would you have done different when you were your 18-year-old self? And I said, well, this is really boring, but I would have told myself to take money and put it into some sort of a retirement account. Because here I am now, a whole lot older than 18, and well, the retirement account, I don't think I have one of those. I'm just going to keep on working. Which is good and bad, right? Good and bad. All right, and then your last one is your insurance agent. Again, your insurance agent should know the horse industry, right? They shouldn't just be some random person. They should understand your space and understand what insurance you need. Here's the ones. All right, who sits on a board of directors? Okay, very good. Other people do too. Okay. Always ask the entity that wants you on their board if they have directors and officers insurance before you sit on it. Why? Because you are responsible for the fiduciary responsibility of that organization. If that organization crashes and burns, which it never will, you're going to be okay. Okay? If it crashes and burns, all of their houses, if there was no D&O insurance in AHA, and I'm sure there is, Glenn Petty, I'm sure there is D&O insurance, they would actually have to give up their homes if there was a huge problem with that. So think about your D&O insurance as being really important because every volunteer is not covered by the Volunteerism Act if there's something tragic that happens. So for those of you that sit on boards, make sure you have D&O with the entity that you're going to sit on their board. General liability, professional liability. Difference is general liability, slip and fall in the parking lot on my way into your barn. Professional liability is me as a riding instructor having to have insurance because I teach people, okay, or you as a horse trainer, what have you. Workers' comp, my husband is an electrician. We use Aflac the duck, okay, because they handle accidents. And that is actually way cheaper for us than having to do some sort of a workers' comp. He's not going to sue himself. So Aflac works really well for those of you that are sole proprietors because they handle accidents on the job. Care, custody, and control. Who boards or has leased horses at your operation? Yeah, you have to have the CCC, right? Very important. And then others based on your type of business. So do a SWOT analysis, of course, within your own entity. Who's ever read Simon Sinek's book, Just Start With Why? That's a really good book. You come up with a why statement for kind of why you exist. So what's Nike's why statement? Just do it. Now, that could be your why statement. You could just do it. Go ride horses, right? I mean, but it's proprietary now to Nike. So think about what your why statement is. It doesn't even have to have the word horse in it, but it has to be something that signifies who you are and what you do well. So come up with your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of other barns, of other boarding barns, of other whatever your job is. And I know not all of you work in the horse industry. Many of you have day jobs and then you play in the horse industry. So think about this for your also work, not just the horse industry. And then name your price, calculate your cost, and this is where I think horse industry professionals really fail. We'll go, all right, I'm going to charge $40 for a riding lesson. Okay, fine. Have you calculated in how much feed it costs? Have you calculated in how much insurance you're having to pay? Have you calculated in how much, you're giving, maybe an Adequan or whatever to your senior horses? Have you done all that? Not to mention, have you paid yourself? They're like, oh, no, maybe I should charge $80. Well, now no one's going to come. Are you sure about that? So when I moved from Southern California to Denver, I was charging back in the day $45 for a riding lesson. I went up to Evergreen, Colorado, which is the equivalent of moving to the beach in California. You move to the mountains in Colorado, it gets more expensive. And I put a little sign up, it was long before we had social media, in the local tack shops that just said, hey, riding lessons, I'll come to you, da-da-da. Nobody called me. Like, nobody here wants riding lessons? I'm actually okay, I'm pretty good. Why did nobody want riding lessons? And I had a friend of mine go, let me see your flyer. So I took my flyer, I gave it to her. She goes, because you're too cheap. I go, really? I'm too cheap? She goes, oh, yeah, the Evergreen people are laughing at you. Up here, we're more like $70 for a riding lesson. Excellent. So I gave myself a raise. I put $70 on that flyer, and the phone rang. So you never know. So what I'm saying is, don't think you have to be cheap. Sometimes you can be a little bit more, depending on where you live and what's going on. So the only other one I want to talk about on this one, down at the bottom, how many of you are still really old school and it's all about a check or cash? Okay, me too. Yeah. And I had a client the other day come up to me and go, I want to Venmo you. And I go, you want to do what? So it's switching from one account to another, right? There's Google Wallet, there's all kinds of things. So again, if you want to stay relevant, maybe even your form of payment has to change of what you expect from people. So your principle, before you start marketing, make sure that your product and service is the absolute best it can be. What travels the fastest on the internet? Good news or bad news? Bad, unfortunately. So make sure it's really, really good before you start to market it. And there's many, many ways to define your unique selling proposition, okay? What do you do better than anyone else? Right? That's the first thing. You don't have to be everything to everybody, because that doesn't fly. So what do you do the absolute best? What would your clients say you do the best? And then play to all of those strengths. So features tell, benefits sell. So if you have a 200 by 100 lighted cover arena, that might be fine for some people. But other people might say, ooh, room to work, all weather. Oh, that's kind of cool. You might say, I have access to trail right out the back of my property, for those that like to do that, riding both in the arena on the trail. You might say, I have large ventilated stalls. How about healthy, happy horses? Or certified staff accredited facility. Why not safety for clients and horses? Because a third-party entity verified me and what I do. So just some ways to kind of change what you say when you're actually talking about yourself. So this is kind of like a savings account, right? Shouldn't we put 10% of our money that we make into a savings account of some sort? Yes, we should. Well, you should take 10% of your gross revenue and put it into marketing. And a lot of us don't do that, do we? But that's a really good way to grow and to prosper, is being able to do that. So here's the mission, purpose, the why, and all those things we talked about, the why statement being much shorter. Ours is equine professionals change lives through safe experiences with horses. That could maybe also be yours, but we have copymarked it and trademarked it, so it can't. Ha ha. Okay, so there's a lot of things like that you want to do, right? You want to make sure to copyright it and trademark it and do those things. Obviously, you have certain colors you use all the time, very important. You don't deviate from those. You don't use Comic Sans anymore. People laugh at you. And you don't use Times Roman because that's really boring. Okay, so you use things like Arial and stuff like that. This is like really detailed stuff, and you can certainly come by my booth afterwards, and I'll give you a card if you want this talk sent to you, or if you want any more detail on this marketing. So this is another thing of all the different plans. I'm not going to go into this in great detail, so take a photo. But you need to know the difference between yourself and others is really the truth of the matter, and how you are different and what makes you what you are. So you want to target all your customers. You want to know who they are. So do you cater to all the generations? If you do, awesome. But you might need to market to them all differently and cater to them all a little bit differently, okay? And we have started to do quite a lot now with Zoom and GoToMeeting and Skype. As a matter of fact, none of my employees really have to work in the office anymore. They can kind of work all over. So we have our base in Lexington, Kentucky, but I work in Denver as their CEO. So, right, we can do a lot of those things. So as you guys are marketing stuff, go Facebook Live on it. So go out into your field with all of your wonderful horses and Facebook Live it. Nobody cares if it's perfect or not. Everyone's using their iPhone for everything now. Go around and say, this is my barn. Look at how amazing it is. These are the wonderful horses that are so happy here at my barn. This is me training a horse. This is me teaching a riding lesson, whatever the case may be. And then do your meetings instead of by conference call, do them by GoToMeeting and Zoom. Because I think the more we have eye contact with each other, aren't we still a handshake industry? We are. And don't we still like seeing each other and getting together for stuff? Sure we do. So you can still do that from really, really far away if you use these kinds of platforms that are available. So lots of stuff about a website. Not, again, take a photo. But 77% of users will not scroll down on their PC, but they will on their mobile. So make sure that your website is mobile friendly and just look yourself up and make sure. Do we still need a website in this industry? Yes. We cannot just have a Facebook page. Okay, because here's the deal. Who owns Facebook? Not you. Who owns your website? You. So if Facebook goes down tomorrow, oh my goodness, heaven forbid. But if Facebook goes down tomorrow, right, for some people in the room, that would be tragic. It would still be okay for you as a business because you have your website, right? So that's super important. So anyways, just take a photo because I could go on, but I will not. So there's social media world. OMG, right? That's a lot of stuff out there. So do you think you have to be on all that stuff? Absolutely not, okay? So these are the biggies, right? All right, and you don't necessarily have to be on all these either, but these are definitely the biggies. So we'll start with, I'm gonna try not to get you in the eyeball, Jan. Okay, what is that one right there? Very good, what's that one? Very good, what's that one? Good, what's that one? Good, and what's that one? Correct. So those are the ones that CHA chooses to be on because, gosh, I'm still in charge of marketing. You can certainly be on other stuff though, right? So how many people use Snapchat? That's something that I know some people use. We chose not to use Snapchat in our space because we don't actually have a certification for anyone under the age of 18. So that's what we chose not to do. But we probably should maybe because, you know, who knows? But you only have so much time, right? So kind of choose what you want to do and just make sure. We have a great product for YouTube because we can do great videos, can't we? And they're just really awesome. We also have a really good product for Instagram because beautiful photos of all of our horses and what we do. And Facebook, sorry for those that don't like it, but it's still the king. Right? It still is the king. So just a couple things about Facebook I'm going to dive into, and then I promise I'll almost be done. So on Facebook, you've got a group page and you've got a fan page. For those of you that run an entity, you need to have both. So a group page is where I have to come to you and say, may I please enter your group? You can ask me a couple of questions, like am I a member, do I own an Arabian, whatever. And then you can accept me or not accept me. Facebook algorithms say that 100% of those people that are on a Facebook group will see every single message you post if they go on there and scroll and find you, right? Or if they just are going through their feed, it'll come up, okay? If you have a fan page, which is where you just want everyone to like you, okay, like, you're not accepting them, you're not anything, anyone can be on that page, the Facebook algorithm says, maybe a third of the people will get to see what you post. Unless you boost it, because how does Facebook make money? Ads, just like the rest of us, right? They gotta make money too. So then you boost a Facebook post, and you can say, I'm gonna put $100 towards this, and you can be so specific. You can say, I'm gonna put $100 towards this post that goes to this demographic of women only, in between the ages of blah, 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 that live in blah, blah, Kansas, that own an Arabian, that have an Arabian on their profile page. Wow. You can be that detailed, so you can really narrow in. So we have changed a lot of our marketing now. We don't really do a ton of print media anymore. We do a lot of these Facebook posts. And for those of you that put on events, how many of you put on events? Put them on Facebook, because what does Facebook do? Somebody will go, oh, I'm interested in your event, even if they're not going to go, just to be nice to you and support you, and because it has a pretty horse, and they're not going to go, but they're going to hit interested. It's going to pop up in their feed every day. 3 days until the event. 2 days until the event. Today, you have an event. So every day, they're constantly seeing your event, right? So it's awesome to do all of your events on Facebook. That will really, really help you. Now, do you have to be on there every single day bombarding people and making us all crazy? No, please don't. Because that's incredibly irritating, okay? Don't do that. You can go on to Hootsuite or Buffer, which are down there on the bottom of my list, and you can, on a Saturday morning with your cup of coffee, schedule all of your social media for that entire week. Say, I want this one at 10 in the morning, I want this one at 2. Then I want to skip a couple days, and I want to do this one at noon, and you can do it all that way. So that's kind of nice. And then who doesn't know what that little hashtag is? Does anybody not know what that little hashtag is down there? See a hashtag, and then it says CHA instructors. Okay, I'm going to tell you what the little hashtag is. That hashtag will allow me to find any photo that you take or anything that you put about CHA instructors on there. So hashtag AHA would help you find anything about the association. Hashtag Arabians, oh, look it up. It's crazy stuff. But it allows me to go ahead and have an opportunity to have your photos to use for my marketing. So we tell all of our members use it, but know that once you put that hashtag there, you are releasing permission for photo usage. I can use it. You've hashtagged it. Okay, so that's something that's kind of good if you guys are looking for different types of photos and things. And then some people get really afraid on the internet. They think, oh my gosh, what if somebody doesn't like something and it's going to go viral, whatever. So I have this really short little story I want to tell you. We do a lot of YouTube videos for CHA, and it's things like put on a halter correctly, pick a hoof correctly, Western saddle, English saddle. We do a lot of those. And I did one time on rope halter fit. So I talked about 2 fingers down from the cheekbone. I talked about not having all the way down here. I talked about all the things that we talk about, how to tie the knot correctly with the tag facing away from the eye, you know, all those things, right? And I put it on, and it started to kind of go a little, what we call viral, right? People liked it, and it was going and going. And then there was Janine. Janine no likey at all. Janine no likey. So she put the top 9 reasons why she couldn't stand my video, blah, 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 blah. So I'm looking along, and I see number 6 and 7, and I go, I can kind of see 6 and 7, but the rest of them, Janine, and I wanted to immediately type. How many of you know that people would really rather fight with you via text, Facebook Messenger, or email, and then when you take it offline and you just put, how about if you call me? Guess what they never do? I love it. As a CEO, I use it all the time. Oh, really? You're sad about our certification process? Oh, you're not happy with the level of certification you got? Oh, you're not happy that we didn't cite accredit you because of whatever reason? Oh, okay, no problem. So here's my phone number, and of course my phone number is public anyway, so I blast it on Facebook. Guess who never calls me? Guess they really didn't care that bad. Right? So that's the kind of thing. So when I saw Janine, I went, okay, I'm just going to fight. And I went, nope, don't do what you hate. Don't do anything. So I did nothing. The next day, I opened up my laptop. Right after I had closed the laptop, there was a gentleman on there. I'll never forget. His name was Bob. I like Bob. Bob put, Janine, if you didn't like Christy's video, why did you stop at 9? You should have done a top 10 of hatred like David Letterman. Love it, Bob. You're a rock star. Love it. So then I went down, and there was other people that liked her number 6 and 7. I'll give her those. And then there was some other people like, oh, Janine, go away. Janine never commented again. Janine just went away. She had her little moment, and she went away. So do we take down negative stuff on the internet? No, we don't. You call up 10 of your best friends, and you get them to go on there and say how fabulous you are. Okay? So never, ever get rid of stuff on the internet. That is hiding. Don't do it. All right, quick response codes, still used quite a bit. So these are really good, especially at your sign outside your barn. Somebody's driving by, put that on your sign for boarding or whatever. They'll stop by, they'll take a picture of your QR code, and they'll find you really easily. It will go to your website. Track everything. And the only other thing on this one, again, take a photo because I can't go into it all, that I really want to talk about is next door. Who's on your next door? In your neighborhood? Yeah, isn't Nextdoor cool? Nextdoor is really pretty cool. It can also become a little bit of a pain in the butt and get addictive like Facebook, but it is cool. And it's kind of the new Craigslist. You probably have a Craigslist in your area too. You can really find a lot of stuff on there and help people, and it's just another way to get the word out about what you do. And don't always preach to the choir. So I go to church. I go to church because, well, I like church, and I want my kids in a church, and that's all fine. But guess what else I like about my church? I'm the only horseback riding instructor at my church. So guess what I get a lot of? Clients from church. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So think outside the box. I go to a lot of, who's in, anybody still know Optimus, Rotary, Kiwanis, those groups? Okay, so those groups have a lot of what? Grandparents. Guess what those grandparents have a lot of? Disposable income to give to their grandkids. Guess what the grandkids want to do, especially the granddaughters? Come ride with me. So I will for free, because I kind of like publicly speaking if you haven't been able to tell. I will for free at 7 o'clock in the morning show up to their breakfast meeting, put a bunch of chairs in a circle, go like this to one of the older gentlemen, get him up there, and I will round pen his butt. It is so much fun. The whole thing. And guess what? He does it. All I say to them is, you're a horse, here we go. And at the end of it, they're like, wow, that's so cool. What do you do? This is so great. And I hand out my business card. And I got a free breakfast. So think about marketing kind of outside the box, right? Don't just stay in your box. When you market big and market well beyond just who you normally talk to. So find your blue ocean. This is another book I like. Red oceans are well explored and overcrowded. Blue oceans are their own entity, and it is someplace that maybe somebody has not gone before. Uncharted territory. So a little bit about us, but the booth is out there. We have certified over 35,000 people. Over in Europe, it's mandated by federal law that everyone's certified. Here it is not, and I don't think it should be, right? Our government probably couldn't handle that, and we don't want them to handle that. But we do a lot with insurance discounts, especially for those that teach beginners and are just getting started. And those are some of our books and things. I think some of you bought them yesterday in the silent auction, so thank you for doing so. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your convention.